You're listening to the Awkward High-Five podcast. You can follow along in your book. You'll know it's time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this.
Merry New Year!
Happy New Year. In this country, we say Happy New Year.
Ha 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 ha! Thank you for correcting my English, which stinks. I am Nanja Ibuko, exchange student from Cameroon. Ha 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 ha! Beef jerky time.
It was the Dukes, it was the Dukes.
I had this terrible dream. Rosa Condos!
He's a terrible, horrible Negro.
Welcome to the Awkward High-Five podcast. My name is Devin.
And Ritchie.
And you guys are listening to the Awkward High-Five Year in Review show. That I was going to make a sounder for that,
And that was it.
in true Awkward High-Five what am I trying to say? True Awkward High-Five tradition. We waited till the last minute to do anything, and so there's no sounders. That's going to be an Awkward High-Five New Year's resolution.
To not always get it raw.
Is to make this more of a show. We need a producer is what we need. We need a third person here helping us out.
We can't pay anybody.
No, we can't. That's why we will not have one.
Yeah.
But when we can pay somebody,
I'll pay in foot rubs.
so this is our first. I was saying right before the show to you that this feels like a pretty, like we haven't done a show in a week.
Big gap, right?
Yeah, and it feels like we haven't done a show in a month for some strange reason.
It does.
But in that week, we've had the biggest spike in listenership for the Awkward High-Five podcast, and it's been pretty big, actually. The last show that we did was, like, downloaded the most out of all our shows in a week's time and all this stuff, and the numbers don't really matter, but basically, I guess what I'm saying is thank you to everybody at home that's listening to the show and making it a decent-sized thing at this point. We really appreciate it.
And using your time on your holiday vacation to actually listen to us.
Yeah,
we were surprised that people were sitting around the Yule log listening to AHI5.
Right, yeah, I would look every once in a while on Christmas and the numbers were going up and I was like, who's listening to our stupid asses on Christmas? Talking about getting arrested and fucking I don't know, somebody sitting around the fire with the family. Like, listen to these assholes.
Well, we had a nice awkward high-five Christmas.
We did. You came over to the Ferry family
it was
household.
a really, really good time.
And we ate and we drank and we laughed.
And I got way too stoned.
And you and my brother smoked a joint outside.
Oh, my God.
You couldn't handle it?
No, I couldn't.
You were actually the most quiet that I've ever seen you be.
Oh, I was so stoned. So I couldn't even drink. I was so stoned.
But how did that pot roast taste?
Oh, my God. Everything. The pot roast, that homemade coleslaw was amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Potatoes, that good beer that you got. That good beer kind of set me over the edge. After that beer, it got me like super drunk.
Right.
And then plus the pot, and I was just like... And all that, food coma on top of that.
Yeah, that was a bottle of high-end Allagash, which is one of my favorite beers out there. So a little plug for them, which was great.
That was such a nice dinner, and it was just perfect.
Well, we were glad to have you over. It's cool because
it was
nice. People who've listened to every episode of this podcast kind of. The thing that we started this for is for me and you to kind of become friends again after not being friends for a long time because of our personal things going on and all that stuff. So like. For that to be taking place on the podcast is very cool, but also to have that taking place in real life is very cool too, So that was a lot of fun. to have you there with everybody. So, but this is our New Year's show, our what we're calling the Awkward High Five Year in Review show. So what we're going to do for you fine people at home is we have written down, I don't know, 16 topics that we thought we want to talk about, that we would, best of moments, blah, 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 all that stuff. And we're going to say them and we're going to talk about them and wrap in the new year with what we thought of 2015, which was, I'm going to say
not much.
2015 for me, it was one of the craziest years of my fucking life. Actually, I'm going to say it was the craziest year of my life.
Really?
Yeah, totally. As far as totally like changing and going through all these different changes. And, you always hear people say that, they always say like there's like a cliche of like what a difference a year makes. I'm sure you've heard people say that before, but it's really fucking true.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I look back at where I was a year ago today, and what my life is now, although it's not 100% on the tracks yet, but it's very, very close to being there towards the time where I was essentially pulling it off the tracks around that time, and it's like, and at that time you think you can't help but think, even if you're the most positive person in the world, you can't help but think like, man, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get back on. I don't know if I can ever right this ship. And then like a year flies by like that.
Oh hell yeah!
And then all of a sudden,
And from a second person point of view, it looks real. I don't know how to say this, but it looks really good. Like it looks good that you're doing everything for you. You got your job going, you got the podcast, and it must feel really good that you don't have a chick to have to deal with.
Sure.
Even though, it's kind of a terrible thing to say.
No. And that was part of the
you're
design.
You're doing everything for you, and you're,
yeah,
enjoying yourself.
Well, you've known me since kindergarten, and since we were at an age of sexual activity, I've always had a fucking chick on my side, no matter what. And I've always filled that gap. And I recognized when everything was going down this time that in order to get my life in the direction that I wanted to do, that I was going to take the romance part out of my life.
Yeah, you have to.
And that's what I did. I gave myself a year. I was like, there's been hookups, there's been fun times with chicks and all that stuff, and that's great. I am a guy, I have needs, but as far as like actually, meeting somebody and starting to date them and doing all that stuff,
that takes too much out of you.
And I'm the type of person, I know now at 35 years old, I think I have a better grasp of who I am as a person. And who I am as a person is pretty lazy. And I don't really mean that in a bad way. Like, I'm not lazy as far as like work goes. Like, if I have something to do, I'll do it and stuff like that. But I enjoy, relaxing and being comfortable and stuff like that. So like, if I fall into a routine with a girl, I'll just sink into that routine without even knowing it, and then I might
it's
shirk
a big
some
emotional
responsibilities.
Investment.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so so yeah, the things that I've accomplished in this last year have been great. I've got out of a horrible job that I was working that I could have just wasted my life at. I got out of a bad relationship. I started this podcast with you, which is the greatest thing. Right now, I just actually this week started working a new job. It looks like it's going to be pretty good and get me on the right track and stuff. And not to mention the time that I've gotten to spend with my family, which was awesome.
Yeah.
From not living near them for almost 5 years, to be around all this crazy stuff. So whatever. We could talk more about that at the end of the show. But
sure.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it. Are you ready?
Cool. Yeah, I'm ready.
For the Awkward High Five Year in Review.
Pew, 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 pew.
Where's my rocket?
Verbally doing the rocket.
Pew. Okay. So, category number 1. Richard, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Best television show.
Okay.
So, the best television show you think of 2015. Go ahead.
Me first?
Yeah, you're going to go first.
My best TV show of 2015 definitely goes to Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Oh, have not seen that one myself.
Really?
My brother was just telling me last night.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. It's so awesome.
Oh, by the way, during this, I'm just going to give us extra fake points if me and you happen to match up on one. So,
okay.
With this one, we do not get any points.
Okay.
But, and that actually has Bruce Campbell in it, right?
Yeah. And they do a lot of references to the old Evil Deads and the Army of Darkness. He still uses the same lingo.
Right.
They refer to a lot. And they do it in that kind of, I guess, it's what Quentin Tarantino is shooting for in Death Proof. There's a lot of dun-dun-duns and a lot of dun-dun-dun, a lot of that stuff that, old school horror flick kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's, real, not cheesy, but, that real, it's, cute, but it's, it's still fun. It's hilarious. It's funny as hell.
Does Sam Raimi have anything to do with that? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Really?
I have no idea. I think he might. I think he might.
At least a producer or something, right?
Yeah. But, it's done so well, that comedy horror, that it was in the beginning. But it's got the 2015 twist on it.
Yeah.
And the story's really good, and he's so funny. And,
Bruce Campbell's the best.
Yeah, and the co-stars are funny. Lucy Lawless is in it. She's like his, nemesis.
You know what's weird? I still find Lucy Lawless fucking hot. Do you?
Yeah,
like when she was on Parks and Rec, she was playing what's his name's Ron Swanson's girlfriend for a while.
Yeah.
And even though she was meant to be like a middle-aged mom, I was still like, Xena. I'm still into Xena.
Yeah, she's all right.
Might be the red hair.
She's blonde and Ash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But, she's all right. But, that's definitely my favorite show. I mean, the fact that it's a comedy and a horror flick together and totally mesh so well, doesn't hurt. But it's just so entertaining.
Yeah.
And
I'll check it out. I mean, I'm a huge...
Season finale this Saturday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're real quick.
Well, no, what's good
They're
about
20
that
minutes
is
long.
now I could just wait and just blast through them all in one day, which is what I normally do.
You could blast them all in like 3-4 hours. They're so short
really?
for some reason. I think the first episode was like 45 minutes, but they're all like 20 minutes long.
Cool. All right, my best TV show of 2015 is the same best TV show of 2014, and the best movie, I think, of 1996, Fargo. Look, if I could choose the TV show Fargo to be my best movie of the year, I would choose it. The TV show Fargo was better than any movie that I saw.
Does it have something does it relate to the movie Fargo?
It's just in the same universe. The last season, the Billy Bob season, which was amazing. It was my favorite TV show of last year.
Billy Bob Thornton was in it?
Yeah. That had a couple direct tie-ins to the movie. This one has a couple direct tie-ins to that season, but not directly the movie. But they're all kind of in the same thing. But if you haven't seen the show, if anybody at home hasn't seen the show, it's an absolute must-watch.
What channel is that on?
FX.
Oh, okay.
It's over with now, but you could go on. You can go and watch it all. It's just it's the best television out there. And like I said, I enjoyed that more than any movie I saw this year. So that's my
cool.
show. Yeah. And it's fucking great actors, from the top to the bottom. Even the names that you don't know are all amazing. The writing's unbelievable. The director just takes all these different chances. There's weird kind of surreal shit going on, but it's also like a murder story and mob families, and it's just fucking perfect. And the thing I love about it the most, like much like with Ash vs. the Evil Dead, I'm guessing, is that the Coen brothers really don't have anything to do with this. They're on it as producers, but that's probably just because they created the original movie and everything. Yeah. But this director has really kind of tapped into their feel and sensibility, so it still has that feel of what I consider to be the best Coen brothers movie of all time. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. You don't have to answer this question.
Yeah.
But does it follow a single crime, or is it smaller crime stories by episode? Like
No, it's a whole story arc, so it follows a whole thing.
Okay,
but
cool.
each season is different. Like season 1 had completely different characters for the most part, and season 2, so it's like one of those things.
But
it's kind of
one season will follow one investigation.
Yeah, you can't really call it an investigation, but a storyline.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's like basically what True Detective tried to do until they
flopped
horribly with the worst
shit. That should have been
ever.
the biggest disappointment of the year.
Fuck that. Yeah, you know what?
that
could have been. All right, well, we'll get to that. Man, I might change mine before that.
Seriously.
No, I think I'll still keep mine. Okay, ready for the next one?
Since we already brought it up, might as well.
You want to say that one?
Well, no. Since we already mentioned it, that could be a common thing. Then we'll go back and use our originals.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's an obvious one.
Okay. Next topic, best film of 2015. Richard, best film.
Best film. Where is it?
2015.
Oh, my favorite film of this year was the comedy Get Hard.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I love
that. I'm going to put that down for biggest surprise.
I loved it. I couldn't get that. You know what? What is that little black guy's name?
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart, because it was a toss up between that one and The Wedding Ringer.
Wow, you were a Kevin Hart fan.
I never knew I was, but those two movies made me laugh my ass off.
I don't watch those movies until somebody tells me that I have to watch them, and my brother,
they're all the same movie.
Yeah, right. I know. But I think, again, just like Ash vs. Evil Dead, my brother had mentioned that the other night, too, because my brother's home from North Carolina right now. We've been hanging out
Which
a lot.
one? The Get Hard?
Yeah, and I think he said that he liked it, too. So
funny.
If I'm going to get a rec from you and my brother, then I'll watch
Yeah,
it.
you know how I am about black comedy. I just love.
I know you
black
do,
comedy.
and I'm with you on it.
So good, so good.
I get called out on it sometimes from some friends of mine. They say that I'm too easy on black comedians.
Mark always gives me hell.
And I loved Kevin Hart when he like first was on the scene. You know,
Soul Plane?
He was in that. in the black version of Death at a Funeral.
Oh,
that he did or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
that was good too.
Yeah, you know, and I still like him, but I guess maybe he's a little overexposed, you know.
Yeah.
And then when you mix in Will Ferrell and that, and I'm just like,
yeah, it's a little much, but there's some scenes in there that it's laugh out loud funny, and I just love my black comedy.
I get
love
it.
my brothers.
One of your favorite movies of all time is Black Knight with Martin Lawrence.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna say Nothing to Lose with Martin Lawrence. But anything Martin Lawrence, I'll take it.
You like the black comedy.
I do.
Okay.
What's yours?
My best film of 2015 is a little sci-fi film called Ex Machina. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
You told me about it, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, very good. I'm a huge sci-fi fan, but the thing with sci-fi is that there's never any good sci-fi.
Never.
This is actually a good sci-fi film, written by the same guy who wrote Sunshine, which is another one of my favorite sci-fi films. And it's just a small story. There's 3 basic actors throughout the whole thing, maybe 4. It takes place in one place. It's very claustrophobic. It has to deal with artificial intelligence and how far you could take that. And it's a struggle between 2 guys. It's sci-fi at its best. Well acted, great actors in it, and that's my favorite movie for sure.
You know, I always have trouble with sci-fi, and recently I've been getting into it because she loves sci-fi, so I'm like forced to watch it. But 2 of my least favorite things: sci-fi and Tom Cruise. I was forced to watch Edge of Tomorrow, I think it was called.
Edge of Tomorrow,
where there's these.
That's the one where they have to keep killing him.
Yes, yes. I actually enjoyed that.
I don't know if I guess that's you see that's the thing, people would call that sci-fi, but I don't know.
Oh, it's totally
as soon as there's robots involved, people call it sci-fi, but that's not really.
There's aliens.
But that doesn't mean sci-fi either. You know, like I think we discussed this before. People call Star Wars a sci-fi film. That's not a sci-fi film. That's a fantasy film at best.
Yeah, fantasy.
You know that kind of thing. So
I would call Edge of Tomorrow
okay.
Sci-fi.
Yeah, I don't think I actually watched it.
Sci-fi, but it's a good movie. I thought so. I was definitely if I watch a movie more than once, I consider myself entertained.
I also watched a Tom Cruise movie the other night. I watched that Mission Impossible 5. It's the first Mission Impossible film I've ever seen.
I'll never lay my hands on a Mission
Impossible.
Impossible.
I just watched it because there was nothing on and we were all hanging out, and it was like put on something with some explosions and shit. And I'll tell you what, I didn't hate it.
Really?
Tom Cruise is really hard to get through, but
so hard.
But the storyline and all that stuff is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. AHI5 challenge: find a movie that Tom Cruise is in that he doesn't run.
Actually,
in every movie.
I could tell you one because
he probably runs. He even runs in Cocktail.
No, I could tell you. But does it have to be a movie where he's the main character?
No, any movie he's in, he runs.
Okay, well, Magnolia then. He doesn't run in Magnolia.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Yeah.
I'm going to get that movie and I'll find a scene where his ass runs.
Because I love that fucking movie so much and I've seen it so many times, and every time I watch it, I'm like, I can't believe I like Tom Cruise right now.
Well, that's how I feel about Vanilla Sky.
Yeah.
I love Vanilla Sky. But
right.
he definitely runs.
He runs in
like the first scene.
Yeah, down in the middle of Times Square where nobody's there.
I love that flick.
My favorite,
I like him in it.
Vanilla Sky, one of the best lines of all time when he's driving with fucking Cameron Diaz, and she's like, "I swallowed your cum."
Yeah,
like why
4 times?
Why would you put that?
He's
in a fucking anyway. Okay, moving on. So that's 2.
Okay.
Let's cross them off the list. Third one, and I made you put this one in and I'll explain why afterwards. But
okay.
Best documentary of 2015. Best documentary of 2015.
Yeah, mine goes to CNN. They do a documentary just titled The 60s. Then they do another one called The 70s. Then they do one called The 80s.
I think I've seen some of those.
Yeah, really cool. I just love, I love the 1900s, so they really do a good job of explaining the decade, and they show, political things, fashion trends. There's big portions on music, which of course, defines our century.
Right.
And it was just, something that I found very entertaining in the documentary field.
Okay, cool. I could take that. My best documentary, now you think it would be Making a Murderer. Because
that's what I thought you were going to say.
Well, here's the thing. It should be because I've done nothing since the last episode, so it's been 7 days, and I've done nothing except still scream about that fucking show. That's all I did.
I don't blame you.
Everywhere I go, I ask people if they saw it, and if they see it, I start screaming about it. It's just what I've done for 7 days straight. I'm sure everyone's sick of it. And I love that show, but the thing is that show was more infuriating and heartbreaking to me than it was enjoyable.
Yeah, of course.
But the reason, so my best documentary is a movie called Call Me Lucky that Bobcat Goldthwait directed about the comedian Crimmins, and his last name is Crimmins. Why can't I think of his first name right now? But Barry Crimmins, sorry. And Barry Crimmins is a real influential comedian. He basically started the Boston comedian scene that we know now, which some of the greatest people came out of.
Really, Boston?
Yeah. Most notably, Patrice O'Neill, probably one of the greatest comedians of all
like
time.
A Boston.
Patrice O'Neill?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He is?
Bill Burr, all those guys. They came out of this scene that Barry Crimmins basically just invented himself. However, this documentary goes into that, but it also goes into the fact that he was sexually molested multiple times when he was a young kid.
Damn.
And it's about him getting over that. And now he's in his 60s. And he's about anyway, it's just an amazing movie. Bobcat Goldthwait is one of my favorite directors.
Yeah,
and
you mentioned that.
And he doesn't disappoint in this either. It's just a great film from top to bottom. And the reason that I put that...
It's a big leap from hot to trot.
or Shakes the Clown.
Yeah.
But Shakes the Clown is a great movie.
I know, you're telling me that too.
But whatchamacallit, Call Me Lucky was... The reason that I made you put a best documentary thing in here is because otherwise Call Me Lucky would have been my favorite movie of the year.
Oh, okay.
So since that would have been my favorite movie of the year, I figured I'll just move that to documentary. But amazing. And I think it's on Netflix now, too, which is cool. So you don't even have to pay for it. If you have Netflix...
Oh, Netflix has an amazing assortment of documentaries.
Yeah. Go watch this immediately. If you care anything about stand-up comedy, or you just want to listen to a pretty crazy story about a pretty crazy, intelligent dude, you're really going to dig this. So, Call Me Lucky. Best documentary for me in 2015.
Cool.
Moving on, best comedian of 2015.
Ooh.
This one was hard for me.
Yeah, it was tough, but I went by the guy who made me laugh the most this year, and it was very recently that I seen a clip of him doing the world's greatest Randy Macho Man Savage impression.
I know, yeah.
So my best comedian of 2015 goes to Dan Soder.
Dan Soder has been great. He's probably one of the better New York comedians running around right now. Him and Big J. Okerson have that talk show, The Bonfire, on Sirius XM, which is pretty fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's great.
I got to see Soder last year, I believe it was. I went to a taping of My Wife Hates Me, which is Rich Voss and Bonnie McFarlane's podcast. And I
hate Rich Voss.
I love Rich Voss. Yeah,
oh, he makes me sick.
Oh God, come on. And they were doing it in the city, and Ron Bennington was hosting it, and it was like a fun time. So anyway, Dan Soder opened that up, and that was the first time I ever seen him do stand up, and it's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah,
dude.
he's great.
Yeah,
that Macho Man.
It's on point.
It like maybe 50 times just to hear, and he does Macho Man ISIS. Talking about it, if Macho Man was the leader of ISIS, unbelievable. If you get a chance. Go on YouTube, whatever, download it. It's the best Randy Savage impression you'll ever hear that anyone could ever do in their lives. No doubt about it. Dan Soder, best comedian, 2015.
All right, there it goes from the mouth of RTG.
Mm-hmm. Proclamation.
Mine's a little bit bigger and more of a home known name. I just mentioned him, is Bill Burr. Mm-hmm. The reason why is because he's the
best of every year.
Right, he's one of the best comedians alive. But I also I went through this year. I had a hard time this year. Entertainment this year for me wasn't that great.
I know.
As a matter of fact,
in the music world.
Right. As a matter of fact, we had best song on this list, and me and you both couldn't come up with a song that we listened to in 2015 that we really liked, so we nixed it. But I was thinking of stand-up specials that I liked, and there's been a lot of disappointments. I was excited for Dimitri Martin's. That kind of stunk.
I never liked him.
His early stuff was good.
Yeah, I can't do the whole guitar and
well, he's more of a one-liner, like a Stephen Wright, Mitch Hedberg kind of guy. And they used to be, and I'm not knocking the guy. It was okay. Aziz Ansari's Madison Square Garden thing I didn't like at all.
Which one was that? Because he did 2 this year.
The one at Madison Square Garden.
The one with the cell phone?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There
was parts of that were hilarious, but it wasn't his best.
And I like Aziz. That fell flat for me. I was disappointed in a lot of the stand-up this year. So I put Bill Burr, even though his last special I saw in 2015. I think I'm cheating a little bit because I think it came out at the very end of 2014, the black and white one on Netflix. but that was drop dead fucking hilarious. And then he also just recently came out with that cartoon on Netflix called F is for Family, which I watched over the holiday, and it's fun. You know, it's not going to blow you away fucking funny, but it's like if you know Bill Burr,
Yeah, well, he always kills no matter what he does.
his sense of humor and everything. It's a really funny show. So
his voice, his attitude, he's always fun.
I'm going to say Bill Burr is the person who made me laugh the most in 2015. So I am putting him down on that. We have not gotten one in common yet.
No.
This one we're definitely not going to, because I had to scrape the barrel to find this
What's
one.
this one?
Best album of 2015, Richard.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I just kind of went on the internet and picked one out of a hat because I haven't listened to a new album since the 90s. So I chose what?
No, go ahead.
I chose Dr. Dre, A Compton Soundtrack.
You know, I haven't listened. I was thinking about putting that because it feels like something that I would like, but I honestly haven't listened to that whole album. I listened to a couple tracks, and they're all right. But I can't say that I know that whole album.
Yeah,
so I
I
felt
don't
like
know the whole album, but you know, as far as any album this year goes, I know it better than any.
Yeah,
you know,
right. No, I get it.
Justin Bieber or
I realized
anything else.
I realized that the album I listened to the most this year was an album from 1998. But I don't I consider myself somebody who tries to stay up with music, probably not the pop music as much, but I try to stay up with at least new bands coming through and the genres that I like and all that stuff. And like this year it was really hard. So the album that I picked for the best album in 2015 is the only album that I listened to a few times through and actually enjoyed, which is the new Millencolin album, True
Oh,
Brew.
really? I thought you were going to say the new Lagwagon, but I think that
Lagwagon came out 2014.
I thought so. The
Yeah.
one, what was it, Noose or something?
Hang.
Hang. Yeah.
Hang was great. I
was a
saw
good
him
record.
twice on that tour, and they were really good. And this is in the same vein as that because those bands, those SoCal punk bands, even though Millencolin's from Sweden,
Yeah.
but they're that sound. You know, they've just fallen off the fucking cliff. You know,
Yeah.
the last fucking Rancid album sucked. The last No Effects album sucked. Like these were all bands that we loved when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
And I still kind of, you know,
It's been 20 years.
Yeah, right. I went to the Fat Wreck 25-year tour this year, and it wasn't even sold out. It was like kind of empty, and it was
that's
like,
so sad.
yeah, but you know, the music has suffered. You know, like I'll always give, like, let's take No Effects for example. If that band puts out a new album, I'm always going to listen to it.
Of course.
I might, you know, and until this last one, I was still a fan. You know,
Yeah. I would almost like purchase the CD like I was waiting, you know,
Right.
like 13 years old waiting for the new Green Day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's just a band from when you were a kid, and you
Yeah.
still want to carry on with them. The thing with Millencolin is they had fallen off for me. Like the last two albums, I think I didn't even listen to, or I listened to a little bit, and I was like, yeah, they weren't like the first couple albums that I really liked. I just put this on a whim just to like see how they're sounding, and you know, in their 40s or whatever. And this album is like, it's pretty awesome. It's as good of a Millencolin album as those first couple albums.
Really?
Yeah, the songwriting's really good. There's not a lot of like fucking filler and shit. It's like straight ahead, good punk
That's
rock
awesome.
album. Yeah.
So it's right up there with Life on a Plate and all those other.
Oh yeah, I would put it right
Wow,
there. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
have to check that out. What is it called? Do you remember?
True Brew.
True Brew.
Brew,
Nice.
yes. So
Very nice.
that is my recommendation for best album of the year. Moving on.
Okay.
To a little bit more. Okay, I think this is the only one that we might have in common. Are you ready? Biggest celebrity death of
true.
2015.
Well, you know, I got to go with Scott Weiland on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. When we
Yeah.
do not get that in
No?
common.
Who else died?
A lot of people died this year.
Really?
Yeah, when I was searching through it.
I didn't search. I just picked Weiland.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just because it was fresh into mine.
Yeah, I guess so.
I do have to mention a little footnote that last night Lemmy from Motorhead died.
He did.
Oh, you didn't hear that?
No.
Yeah.
What, did he die of cancer?
Yeah, he had cancer.
Yeah, he had
fighting.
cancer of the face.
He was 7. No, not the Cocoa Puffs.
They weren't cancer?
No. He had
Usually
those
that's
Cocoa Puffs when he was a kid.
But I'm saying, usually that's a sign of cancer, Cocoa Puffs.
Look, the guy made it to 70 being a raging
Yeah.
alcoholic and speed freak and shit. So,
And 3 packs of Marlboro Reds a day,
yeah.
no doubt.
So look, I love Motorhead. Lemmy's fucking, like they say in Airheads, is a fucking god. So R.I.P.
Oh,
Lemmy.
man,
But
Lemmy.
that's not my biggest one. My biggest celebrity death of 2015, and I'm surprised that you didn't put this, is Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Rowdy.
And here's the thing: I'm not a wrestling guy anymore. I haven't watched wrestling
Yeah,
since
but
I was
Rowdy.
like in my teens. But when for some reason, and wrestlers die all the time. I mean, you're gonna get 5 to 10 wrestling deaths a year.
Yeah.
you know. But for some reason, and like Macho Man died recently, and I was like, that sucks and all that stuff. But for some reason, when Piper died, it like felt like a piece of my childhood died.
Yeah, well, Piper was such a cool guy. He always made you laugh and stuff.
Yeah, and like I liked his movies. Like I liked They Live and shit. You know, like he was like more than just a WWF guy or whatever. And also he was one of the funniest WWF guys.
Oh, no doubt. When he went half blackface when he fought Bad News Brown.
Yeah, right.
Definitely one of the most racist moments in WWF history.
I'm gonna eat a garage.
Yeah. Rowdy.
Yeah, so that's mine. Then, you know, he's a wrestler, and what's gonna happen? But yeah, that really.
But you know, he wasn't. I don't think he died from doing too many painkillers, or he didn't crossface cripple his family. I think. What did he have? A cardiac arrest?
I'm gonna guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I mean, maybe he was into roids or whatever, and all that abuse on your body. But I feel like he doesn't fall into the category of like a serious drug abuser like most of the wrestlers.
Yeah, right. I'm not saying that, but it just for some reason, if you're a wrestler, you just have an early life for the most part.
It's a curse. It's like the SNL curse. So
what's the SNL curse?
Saturday Night Live. They all die.
I guess maybe
most of them, like all the goodies, they die soon.
Yeah, right. You're talking about like Chris Farley and John Belushi.
Yeah,
and,
Hartman.
Phil Hartman got shot while he was sleeping.
But still, I mean, I'm not saying it has to necessarily do with the drug overdose, but it's just a curse. They go down.
All right,
sucks.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
This show might go over a little an hour, but I don't care because it's the last show of the year.
That's right.
Next one. The dumbest new slang word. This is one of your categories.
Oh, yeah. Squad. Hate it. And believe me, I could have put a lot of different ones, but nothing makes my skin crawl like squad.
Why do you hate squad so much? I don't mind it.
Because it's just... I understand the whole no grammar thing and, there's no hope for it and all that stuff. But that word is just thrown in anywhere. It makes, like...
But it makes sense because a squad is like if you're in the army,
crew,
you're a squadron.
I know, but the way they'll be like, going out tonight. We're all going to the bar. Squad. For no fucking reason. Right. We know you're going with your squad.
Do you know that there is an app called Squad now?
No.
That's kind of like you could create squads and then meet other squads and meet up with squads, and it's just a squad city squad. I'm just doing this to say squad as much as possible.
It's like it's like changing the name Sims to Squad.
Well, no, it's a real deal app though. It's like a Tinder, but it's for squads.
So great.
So like me and you could start an AHI5 squad, and then we could find somebody in the area that's got a squad at a bar, and then we could you could be like, you want to hook up, and then we could go hang out with their squad, and then that could become a bigger squad.
And then everyone say squad. Right. I mean, believe me, originally I had Whelp.
Right.
Whelp was up there. I don't want to say a bunch because I might, teeter into your zone.
That's okay.
But Whelp, Whelp makes my skin crawl, and so does what's the other one?
Bay.
Whelp, Bay. Yeah. Oh,
I don't mind squad, and I don't mind Bay. I'm gonna say.
I never think of Bay.
This might be me trying to act like I'm young still, and I'm hip with the young kids or whatever.
It's nice not to hate. But sometimes you hear, I hate when people, someone will say squad and probably not even know when to use it correctly, if there's a correct place to use squad,
right.
No,
I get it.
I don't know. What do you got?
My dumbest new slang word is, I don't even know if it's considered a slang word, but it's an internet slang, and that's AF. Standing for as fuck.
Yeah.
And this is
as if it's a unit of measurement.
Well, no, but that's fine because we've been saying dumb as fuck, fucking high as fuck our whole life since we were kids. Like it's a phrase. So I don't mind the action.
I was more of a user of as shit.
Okay. Well, I've always said as fuck. Like we've said that forever. It's been around since before we were around, It's not something new. The reason that it bothers me is why not just put as fuck? What is I guess maybe on Twitter when you have a number, like a letter limit or something like that, maybe that's where it came from. But if you're like on Facebook or something like that and you want to write, yo, I'm high as fuck, just write I'm high as fuck. It's like when people write fuck, but then they put like an ampersand instead of the you, and you're like,
no, it's a you.
You're like, you could curse on Facebook, right? Like you're not trying to get past anything, and it's not making the word any less offensive. Just write fuck. So
you just reminded me of something, and I don't even think kids say it anymore because they realized how bad it was. But I want to say maybe about 10 years ago, kids used the term for being, it's same thing as fuck, but kids would say, man, I'm high as cheese.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I am not making that
You
up.
were just high as cheese, and you heard that in your own head. I've never heard that in my life.
I swear to God, I did not make that up. They were high as cheese.
All right.
That's a skin crawler, right?
Yes, that might be the biggest douche chill moment.
Right. If this was year in review 05, it would definitely be as cheese.
I've never now in 05 I wasn't getting high very much, so I don't know, but fuck
You were
it.
getting high, but maybe not high as cheese.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Isn't cheese supposed to be like cheddar,
It's a
like
noun,
money?
yeah. You're getting high as cheese.
I'm just gonna say on the record that I think you're fucking lying. I
I
think you're
swear
making this
I'm
up.
not.
I think this is a big ruse that you're playing.
Oh
on me.
no, it's true. Kids are getting high as cheese, baby.
Now fucking on New Year's I'm gonna be like, man, I'm high as cheese, and
Yeah.
everyone's gonna be like, what the fuck? are you
Ask
talking-
around. You'll hear it.
Okay, another RTG category coming up.
What we got?
Best. Okay, so when you text this category to me, you just text me best tits.
Yeah.
I changed it to best tits / nudity or
Okay.
nude scene because who knows, whatever.
I didn't catch a nude scene, but the reason that thing that made me think of that category is because at the moment I seen some great tits. And I said, hey, why not throw her in the mix? Because those are some fabulous tits.
Okay, so what are Rich Giordano's best tits / nudity of 2015?
That goes to Kate Upton.
Kate Upton. Oh, yeah. Well,
Amazing tits. And you might think that maybe once the support is taken away, you might get the old, softball in a tube sock,
Yeah.
Thing. But I have a really strong gut feeling that those babies sit well.
you haven't seen the bare tits because they're out there.
They are.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I would do anything.
Yeah.
But have you?
Yeah.
Do they dangle?
No. They're okay. They're nice tits.
They're not
She's a very
saying-
attractive woman.
They sit well. They don't move much when the support's taken away.
Yeah, I'm gonna yes.
Oh, I gotta find these.
The thing with Kate
Find
Upton,
these puppies.
the thing with Kate Upton is that she you could tell, and I'm not taking anything away from her, but
Leave her alone.
I kind of feel like she's like the same person as God, I can't think of her name now. Who was that chick who was a Playboy model back in the day, and then she became really fat, and she had her own reality show, and then she died young.
And then she died young.
Yeah, Anna Nicole.
Anna Nicole?
Anna Nicole. Yeah, I feel like
Really?
her,
She's so much better looking than Anna.
but you could kind of tell by her body shape that like her 30s aren't going to be that good to her.
Well, whatever.
Like
I'm
that
enjoying
kind of
her
thing.
now.
No, I get it. Look,
I'm
a
saying.
very attractive girl.
Oh,
Justin Verlander's a very lucky person. So
And I'm not into huge tits. It's not a requirement of mine. And those things they just sit so well. They just sit so well.
we should have done this. We were not looking in the right direction. We should have done best Ziggy nose of 2000.
Ooh.
That would have to be a little personal, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. My best tits / nudity. Well, so here's the thing. It's not best. I'm not going to say it's best. It was probably the most interesting nudity that I've seen in 2015. And that is Kristen Wiig in the movie Welcome to Me.
She gets really naked?
She gets completely
No,
naked,
she
but it's
doesn't.
not a sexual scene, So it's
I wouldn't
not-
think so.
Yeah, it's like it's the whole movie. She's got a mental illness, and this is like the climax scene where she's at the height of her mental illness and whatever, and she
Kind of like a Monsters Ball nudity almost.
well, she walks through a casino naked, but she's
okay.
like kind of crazy. She's got like blood on her and shit.
And how is it?
Look, I got no problems with Kristen Wiig's body, but I was surprised that I never just because I've seen Kristen Wiig in movies where I thought, yeah, maybe I'd like to see this
Yeah,
chick
no
naked. Like
doubt.
she's attractive. Plus, she's
Definitely
one of
in MacGruber.
but it was weird that she chose to do that, and I don't know how much say she had over it, but it didn't really add anything to the movie. Like that end scene could have been many different things besides her walking full frontal bush and everything, like through a.
Does she have a bush? Full bush?
Yeah. And but who knows if it's a merkin or not,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting, but at the same time, it didn't really add anything to the movie. So I was like, there was, like I said, there's no sexual connotation to it. So afterwards, it kind of felt like weird, like like if you were ever to see Gilda Radner naked or something, you know, because like I
Yeah.
see them being very similar people, especially with the Saturday Night Live link and
The
everything.
comedy, the one of the boys
Yeah.
effect. Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I didn't want to see that. So for that case alone, that at least is the most interesting nudity.
Those little puppies sit well. Good areolas on her.
She's a fine looking woman.
Good,
Richard.
good. That
Kristen
makes-
Wiig, I got no problems with Kristen
Thank
Wiig.
you, Chris. That makes me feel really good. Do you remember that one bachelor party we went to where the highlight of the strippers was that one girl's areolas because they were shaped like the bikini? It's like she took her bikini off and she had trapezoid-shaped areolas.
Oh, and they were giant?
Yeah, and she had a southern accent, and if you went up to her and asked to see her tits, she'd be like, "You just want to make fun of my areolas." And you're like, "Yes, sir."
They were some big areolas.
Yeah, and they were just trapezoids. How did areolas get shaped that way?
I have no idea. I wonder
weird.
what she's doing. That was like 13 years ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
All right, moving on. We have some more to do here.
Okay.
All right, we're going. Okay. 2015, most important news story. Get a little serious on this
Ooh,
one.
I don't think I knew that was a category.
Really?
Uh-oh. Most important news story.
Yeah, I told you. Most important news story and most useless news story.
Useless I have. Important I do not.
Okay.
Okay, but I'll just use the top of my head here and say the most important news story has to be maybe the Paris attacks.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about that one.
Yeah.
Now, you know
Just
that
off the top of my head.
both Paris attacks, the Charlie Hebdo and the one and the Eagles of Death Metal, both happened in 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I was thinking about putting that because that is like some serious shit.
Yeah, totally.
And both of those were heartbreaking to watch, and you know, there's freedom of speech issues and terrorism issues and all the stuff that goes into
Yeah,
that. So
that was an important news story, I would say.
yeah, totally. My important news story, and the same kind of thing, it's kind of an amalgamation of news stories, but I think the biggest thread of news stories this year have been all the cop shootings of innocent people.
Yeah, true.
And the reason why I think it's so important is not only are there innocent people out there being murdered by people who are supposed to take care of us and protect the innocent, but I also think it's a big thing because more and more people are now being that might not have thought that way, might not be prone to that line of thinking, are now seeing this over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times in 2015 alone had we seen the same formula? Guy without a gun gets shot in the back. Guy with a toy gun gets shot and killed.
Yeah.
Guy running away gets shot and killed. How many videos have there been of people getting pulled over and harassed by these cops and all this stuff?
All the time.
And then every single one of them gets off. None of them gets prosecuted for it and all this stuff. So the more and more that they show that, I think more and more people are getting wise to that situation. And sooner or later, there's going to have to be a change in something. So to me, that's the most important story of the year.
And the change can either be good or bad.
Whatever it may be. But it's an issue that's been around for a very long time. Abuses of power, all that stuff, whatever it may be. It even down to cops not being trained correctly or whatever it is, but
I would say it's mostly an abuse of power type thing.
It's something that's
Sad but true.
happening all the time. And now, thanks to the internet, and for one reason or another, national media picking it up. It's something that more people are getting, seeing, and then it'll change. So I think that's very important. I wish it wouldn't happen. I wish I never saw that on the news, but the fact that it's getting so much airplay and everything like that, I think is very important.
Yeah. Are we going to move right on to useless news?
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
The most useless news story of 2015, Richard.
I'm going to have to say when Lamar Odom took a bunch of Viagra and sniffed a bunch of coke and died in a whorehouse.
He didn't die.
Or, came close to death in a whorehouse, but then came back to life.
Wait, how did you know he took a bunch of Viagra?
Because the guy that runs the Bunny Ranch said so.
Oh, see, I don't know much about this story.
Yeah,
so-
well, he was just, smoking a lot of crack,
No, wait,
sniffing a lot of coke.
Lamar Odom is the one that was married to the bigger Kardashian
Yes.
or the famous Kardashian?
Yes, the biggest. The
'Cause there's-
Chloe.
Oh, right. Because then don't they all date basketball guys?
Yes.
And he's the one that dated Chloe.
They love the brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except the hot one. The hot one likes the one that's, was with Scott. I don't think she messes with the brothers.
Oh, okay.
And she's actually the cutest one.
Right.
But it was like this herbal Viagra that people would buy at the Bunny Ranch because when you're sniffing and smoking a lot of coke,
Yeah, it's
I
hard
don't
to get
care
high.
how big and black you are, that thing isn't gonna be
right.
at full mast. So he was doing a lot of herbal Viagra and sniffing and smoking a lot of coke, and apparently he fucking died. And he came back. He was in a coma for a while and came back to life. But who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You know, anything that revolves around the Kardashians happens to make really serious news, but who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
just another family. Put another regular family on the news. Just because they have money and they bang black guys, they're famous. Like, it makes no sense.
well, yeah, I mean, banging black guys is what made them famous. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
And
How?
I'm with you, man. I've never gotten the Kardashian thing, and it's not
They're
even
not even that good looking.
It's not even. Well, no, I don't find them very attractive personally, and it's not even blowback.
And you know they have hairy asses. You know they just look like they do.
But it's for me with the Kardashians, it's not even a contrarian thing where I'm like everybody likes them, so I must hate them. It's just like I just don't get it. You know, my ex fiance watched that fucking show, so I've seen it a bunch of times. And I just don't get it. There was nothing interesting.
The only one in that show that deserves to be on the show is Scott. He should have his own damn show because I find his antics funny.
You like his mischief?
Yes, I really do.
I did. I watched an episode where he was like buying helicopters and shit, and I was like,
the dad?
No, the Scott.
Oh, Scott was buying helicopters.
Yeah, and they're all bitching at him that he can't buy a helicopter and everything. You know what? But I mean, like, is this something that maybe that's why people like it because they're like, I want to buy a helicopter. You know?
Yeah, it's fun to watch people with money spend it. You know, it makes you know, you can live vicariously through them. But I just don't get the appeal to those girls. They're just shitty girls.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of the nation, or at least people will tell you that. At least you'll hear, you know, people will say that, but they're also giants, so there's got to be a lot of people. They're like fucking Nickelback or one of those bands where like you hear everybody say, "Oh, I can't stand that band," but you're like, "All right, but they're still in the top 40, so somebody's fucking listening to them." All right, moving on to the one
did you say yours?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't say mine.
Yeah.
My useless news story, there was two that I was choosing from, but ultimately, I think the most useless news story is the fucking red Starbucks cups. Which just
don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay, this is recent. It was in November. Starbucks came out with their holiday cups. And instead, in years prior to that, they had like maybe a Christmas tree or a reindeer or a snowflake or something on it. Mm-hmm. This year, they just came out with plain red cups for Christmas.
And there was a public outcry.
And there was a public fucking outcry
Lord.
to the point where, and this is the douchiest part of it. This could actually even fall into the douche shells, but it doesn't for me. Is that some fine Christian fellow who thought that Starbucks was waging a war against Christmas, right?
Oh my God!
Started leading this crusade to have people. You know how people in apparently I'm not a Starbucks person, and this is the only time you'll ever hear me defend Starbucks or any corporations for that matter. But he had, you know, apparently they write your name on the cups.
Yeah.
And so this crusade that this guy was trying to lead.
My name is Merry Christmas.
That is exactly it.
Oh my God.
He wanted people to walk in and say their name is Merry Christmas so that they're forced to write Merry Christmas on the cup.
Oh Lord.
Here's the thing that fucking kills me about this. They're a private corporation. They could do whatever the fuck they want.
Whatever they want.
They don't have any obligation to support Christians or Jews or anybody. They're a private organization. Their only fucking bottom line is revenue, and they probably made a decision of saying like this. Maybe it was just as simple as the graphics cost too much money. We just want a plain red cup this year, whatever it may be. But also, it doesn't matter because guess what? You don't get an opinion on this.
Yeah,
you know, like
you're getting a coffee. Stop it.
Right. Exactly.
Stop it.
The outrage over and the outrage. Obviously, people are going to be outraged because for the most part, when it comes to shit like this. People are just stupid about it. But the fact that the news for about a week was covering this, like I would watch CNN and this would be on CNN. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
And usually someone would say they do that to distract you from a bigger, more, you know, important news, which I feel like they do. And maybe that is what they were doing.
There are false flag stuff, and that's a total conspiracy theory thing.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll have an Awkward High Five conspiracy theory show.
Yeah,
because I got a lot of them.
Because I'm a believer.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so I think that was the most useless thing. It was just a waste of everything.
That made me,
people who got outraged over this big fucking stupid corporation having red cups in the first place. Look, here's the thing. If you're upset that Starbucks has red cups, then go to your local fucking coffee place and buy from them because it's better for everybody anyway.
Or bring your own fucking mug.
Yeah. Or don't support Starbucks in the first place. Go somewhere else that has better coffee for cheaper.
It's the same people that can't turn off the TV if there's something they don't want to see on the TV.
Right. And
instead of changing the fucking channel, you watch it and you cry about it. Right. Just stop.
So anyway, yep, that's it. That's it for me. I was thinking about putting the dress on there. Remember the dress?
No.
That dress that everyone was fighting over, whether it was blue and black.
Oh,
or whether,
God.
and all that stuff.
God, it was gold.
The only reason that I don't put that on there is because I actually had a conversation like with my family about that. So I was like, at least I kind of contribute a little bit to the mass stupidity, so I can't make fun of it.
Definitely wasn't black. It was like gold and lavender or some bullshit.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
A little side note is we went to a wedding recently.
Someone had the dress?
There was a woman there wearing the fucking dress. I never would have noticed it, but all the women noticed it. Like all the women I was hanging out with.
And in person, I'm sure it's more clearer what the actual color is, right? And you see
I didn't even pay attention, but all I just remember is the girls being like, "Holy shit, she's wearing the dress!" Like someone went out and bought the dress.
Good, I'm glad she did.
Okay, this next one is the one I'm most excited about because I just want to hear the words come out of my mouth.
What we got?
2015 RTG Best Athlete / Sports Team.
Okay, I'm gonna instead of sports team, I'm gonna give it to an athlete.
Yeah, that's fine. That's why there's a slash in between them.
And I'm definitely a New York Jets over New York Giants kind of guy, but I'm gonna give it to Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay, and I don't know anything about football, so you're gonna have to walk me through this.
He's a receiver for the New York Giants.
Okay.
Who was suspended last game for, acting a little frisky on the field, and the Giants couldn't score one touchdown. So it just leads you to believe that without him, the team is shit,
Oh, okay, so what did he get suspended for? Was it one of those...
unsportsmanlike conduct.
Was it one of those, after a touchdown, he did a couple backflips and grabbed his dick?
He does a lot of that stuff, but I think the problem was more of he was butting heads with a cornerback or a safety that was covering him, and... there was a lot of foul words exchanged and a lot of headbutting and things like that.
That sounds like football to me.
Yeah, exactly. But things this year are a lot different.
Right. They're trying to make it all safe and everything.
Everyone's touchy, as usual.
Right. Okay. So what was his name again?
Odell Beckham Jr., New York Giant.
And obviously, if you listen to this podcast, you know what I'm going to say. The best athlete / sports team of 2015 are your New York Mets.
Oh, you're going with the whole team?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Fucking, I watch one sport, and that's baseball, and I'm a fan of one team, and that's the New York Mets. And being a Mets fan your whole life is, let's just say it's not an easy life. You don't get very many victories. As a matter of fact, it's normally being teased and then taken away from you really quickly, and it's very depressing. And this year was just amazing. And for a couple of reasons. This year was, not only I was 6 years old in 1986, so I remember it, but I can't sit there and say that I watched it all. In 2000, I was
you couldn't bathe in the excitement.
I was a Mets fan in 2000, but there was more important shit going on in my life at that time. Like so I paid attention to it, but I didn't sit there and watch every game of that season either.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that this season...
that was when they played the Yankees in the World Series,
that was the
right?
Subway Series,
that was
right.
a goodie.
And I can honestly say that this season was the most fun season of baseball I've ever watched. Nobody expected the Mets to be there at the end of it.
Right.
Everyone was giving them maybe even the wild card spot. They made it all the way to the World Series. And I truly believe that if they played any other team besides Kansas City, they would have had a good shot. But nobody was beating Kansas City this year.
Yeah.
The other side of that is that... as many people know, I had to take a big step backwards in order to take steps forward this year. And the biggest step backwards that I took was in order to not blow all of my savings. I came back to live with my parents for a while. And the reason that I'm a giant Mets fan is because my father's a giant Mets fan. And me and him go to opening day every year and stuff like that. But it's been it's never have we had the opportunity to kind of sit down and watch almost 162 games with each other. So this year, that happening, plus them going to the World Series this year and being able to experience that with him almost on a nightly basis was a very special thing to me. And it was kind of serendipitous that they went that far this year.
That's nice.
If I'm going to think about it in that terms, there's some sort of kismet to it or something, So like, very, very cool. I think 2016 is going to be an amazing year. It's a good time to be a Mets fan. So thank you very much, 2015 New York Mets, for all the fun.
That was good. That was very nice.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah.
2015 biggest douche chill moment.
Ooh, I got a goodie.
Okay.
When that fucking cop lip synced Taylor Swift in his car and recorded it.
Oh, yeah, you're
Holy
right.
shit. Oh, I can't. It makes me want to throw myself into a wood chipper. I can't take it. Anyone who can sit there and watch that, you've got fucking skin of steel, because I can't even get through 2 seconds of that fat bastard singing that song.
Yeah, that is the thing about.
Oh man, I can't even think about it. It hurt to write it on the fucking piece of paper.
that is the definition of a douche chill, man.
Yes.
It's when it's hard to even deal with. You just want to like dig your head into the fucking sand because you're so embarrassed for somebody.
Why do we get embarrassed for other people? How is that a phenomenon? I don't understand. I get it so much.
I get it all the time. I still get
it's taking years off my life for nothing.
And I get
other people's dumb shit.
I get it, like in fucking sitcoms and stuff, where like I know that they're acting and I know that this is like written, but I'll still sometimes be like, oh, don't do that, don't say that, you know, and like fucking like do the thing with your head where you're like, oh, stop. I do it all the fucking time. I don't know why. I know some people don't feel that way. Some people are like, ah, whatever, fuck them. But yeah, I get embarrassed for people all the time.
It happens a lot. Who do you got?
My biggest douche chill moment was I watched, I don't know why, because they haven't been good in, I don't know, 20 years, but I watch the Academy Awards every year, the Oscars. And if you watch the Academy Awards this year, you will agree that John Travolta is the biggest fucking douche chill.
I hate him anyway.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. He's slimy. He's wearing the bad wigs. I mean, the guy owns his own planes. He can't get a good toupee. But what he was doing this year was he was like on stage was like fucking trying to touch and kiss like the younger actresses.
Oh,
like he came up behind Scarlett Johansson and like tried to give her a kiss on the cheek, and you saw her like kind of move away. And he was doing some shit on the red carpet where he was trying to touch some chicks, and he was just being this old fucking toupee wearing creeper in front of the whole world. It was on, you know, whatever channel it was on. I remember watching it and being
Joe
like,
Namath style.
Yeah, right, exactly. But at least Joe Namath was fucking
a drunk.
He was drunk and he was being an asshole. You know, he was dealing with one of these women on the sidelines that have to interview you, and he was kind of fucking, you know, like,
I want to kiss you.
Yeah, right. But
great.
Travolta was just trying to squeeze on in. And it was just, I remember watching it and being like, why is he doing this? Like if you were watching your own uncle do something freaky.
Yeah,
you know?
Uncle Touchy Fingers.
So that's it for me.
That's,
John Travolta, biggest douche chill moment of 2015. Richard, we're getting down there. We have 4 left.
And on top of douche chill moment, I'm going to have to give biggest douche of 2015 to Dan Bilzerian.
Oh,
That
good
fucking
call.
douche
Yeah,
bag.
I think we both agree that he's a douche.
Yeah, such a douche.
I saw a picture of him sitting down talking to Donald Trump that somebody put up the other day.
Yeah,
and
makes
like,
sense.
I think there was a gun on the table or something.
Probably.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
And like a stack of cash.
Right. I'm with you on that.
Such a douche.
Yeah. And that's not even a jealousy thing, because
I'd never want to be him.
Yeah, but people like, you know, people put that way. He's like, well, he's a millionaire. He's fucking all these hot chicks and flying in his own plane and shit. And I get that, but it just, I don't get it. Everything I see of his is like, I think we both discovered him this year because we talked about this before,
I
right?
just recently found out.
And I flipped through his Instagram one day, like, what is this thing that everybody likes? And every picture, I was just like, oh, God, why are you doing
it looks
this?
like his beard smells.
Yeah, right.
Disgusting.
All right, good call.
Yeah.
Biggest douchebag. My biggest douchebag of 2015 is Kim Davis. Do you know who this is?
Nah.
Kim Davis is the county clerk in Kentucky that after the Supreme Court issued the nationwide lift of same-sex marriages, same-sex marriages, she was this county clerk in Kentucky who made the news by saying that she wasn't going to give marriage license out to fucking gay people. Do you remember this story?
No, but so douchey.
So she's this fucking just overweight fucking hillbilly hick,
of course,
who's got a fucking a bottom of the line job that, you know, and here's the thing that bothers me about it. Not only does it bother me because I'm for same sex marriage and all that, but it bothers me because she made this big stink that she wasn't going to hand out same-sex marriage license. She wasn't going to hand out marriage license to same-sex people when it wasn't her fucking call. Yeah. So all that needed to happen was she needed to say, yeah, I'm not going to hand out these licenses. And then her boss needed to say, okay, well, that's the main part of your job, so now you're fired. And it never would have been a news story. But since it had religion wrapped in and the same-sex marriage was so new, it became this giant news story. And I had to hear about this fucking chick all the time.
Yeah.
And then she's pushing the Lord on everybody, and she's getting it's to the point where
Lord pusher.
When the Pope came to this country a few months ago, he had a private meeting with her.
Really?
Yeah. This chick is
God.
like a municipal worker in Kentucky, and she gets a one-on-one with the fucking Pope because she made this giant stink over something that she should have. That would be like me saying I'm a vegan. Like that would be like me working at a diner saying I'm a vegan, so I'm not going to serve you a hamburger. I would get fired, and that's it.
Right.
You would never hear about
Yeah.
it. So the whole thing bothered the shit out of me. And the thing that bothered me the most is that she was talking about the word of God and how same-sex marriage should be frowned upon by God and all that stuff. When we found out later on, she was divorced 3 times and she had 2 kids out of wedlock.
Makes sense.
Which is fucking, so like the whole thing was hypocritical and she was just trying to make a thing. So for that, Kim Davis, you were the biggest douchebag of 2015.
Get ass cancer, Kim Davis. We hate you.
Okay, so these next 2 are kind of, I guess they're subjective a little bit.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about them, just the fact that they fit the category.
Right. Okay, so we're going to say
biggest disappointment?
2015, the biggest disappointment for you, Richard, of 2015.
I'm going to have to say this was supposed to be the year that the Thundercats movie came out, and yet again, it doesn't come out. And I've been waiting since 2011. So hurry up with this damn thing, Lionel. Let's get this thing in the movies.
Is that going to be a live action film of the Thundercats?
It's like it's what is it? CGI, like Transformer.
Yeah, but there's actually going to be actors playing the Thundercats.
I think
it's not going to be
yeah.
like a cartoon.
No, not a cartoon. Yeah, real shit.
Wow. I know
and
you were.
And it looks like real, like like I saw a picture of Mum-Ra, evil shit.
Really?
Yeah. So it's going to be real, like dark. I think
you were a huge Thundercats fan.
Huge.
I was more of a He-Man guy. You were more of a Thundercats guy.
Yeah, I love Thundercats.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool.
What was your favorite Thundercat of all time?
It was a toss-up between...
You can't break Kit and Kat.
No, it was a toss-up between Lion-O and Panthro.
Yeah, Panthro.
Panthro was the brother.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Shit,
Yeah.
Lion-O, I gotta fix this car again.
I liked...
I love those wheels.
I was maybe because she made me feel a certain way, but She-Ra?
Yeah.
Was it named She-Ra?
Like Cheetah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
She had nice titties.
Yeah, she was nice.
Yeah, nice legs.
She might actually have been the action figure that I tried to separate the thing I looked into if I think about it. Okay, cool.
That's all I got to say about that.
My biggest disappointment also has to do with the movie. And my biggest disappointment of 2015, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree, but it was the Amy Schumer film Trainwreck.
Didn't see.
Which I was very excited to see for a few reasons. One, I like Amy Schumer. I think her I know she's getting a lot of blowback now because she blew up so big this year that a lot of people are saying that they don't like her and whatever.
Of course.
And her looks. Why would you ever talk about a comedian's looks?
Yeah, who gives a shit? Yeah.
But I think she's a very funny comedian. I think that show on Comedy Central that she has inside Amy Schumer is fucking great. They have some amazing
no
writing.
shame in her game.
Right.
None.
They have amazing writers that work on that show. It's great. And then, ever since I heard that she wrote this movie and that Judd Apatow was directing it, I was excited to see it, because they, not only did they have decent people in it, but, all of Judd Apatow's films are funny, even the ones that you don't think are going to be funny. And so I was like, this is a perfect matching. And what I kept hearing the whole time was that a bunch of New York comedians like Dan Soder, like Big J. Ogerson, Jim Norton, and some lower guys and stuff like that were going to be in this film. So what I thought was it was going to be this story, but a lot of the side characters were going to be New York comedians, What ended up happening was when I saw it was that all the New York comedians like Bobby Kelly was in it for a second, Norton was in it for a second, Dan Soder was in it for a second, but they didn't have like any sort of characters. Most of them didn't even have lines. They were just in the movie. So that was a disappointment. And then actually, to be honest with you, the movie itself wasn't that great. Colin Quinn was great in it. And I think where it really fell down, and I know a lot of people think opposite of this, is that they had LeBron James as one of the big actors in that film.
Really?
And people like praised how he acted. And look, for LeBron James, I'm sure he acted great. However, I think that if they would have actually got a comedian or an actor that could have carried that part a little bit better, because a lot of his transactions is with Bill Hader and stuff like that, that part of the story would have been more interesting. I just thought the jokes fell flat, and and the regular Judd Apatow style. Well, let's take 1,000 cuts of saying different things and then use which ones work.
Yeah.
It seems like they didn't even really do that very well. And look, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying my expectations for it. I went and saw it the night it came out, and it just wasn't great, unfortunately. So
that sucks.
That's my biggest disappointment in 2015. Moving on to second to last topic, the biggest surprise of 2015.
I have, for biggest surprise, Gwen Stefani hooking up with that country singer fag guy. I don't get it.
Wait, which one did she hook up with? There's a lot of country singer F-word guys.
He's
the Blake Shelton.
Blake Shelton.
Yeah, we brought him up right.
Yep.
I didn't know that they were hooking up.
Yeah. And dude, keep your hands off her.
Oh, you hold Stefani precious.
I do. I don't like the plastic surgery she did. She looks funky, but I like that girl.
Yeah. So it never bothered you that she was with fucking
Gavin?
Glycerine?
No, I have a respect for Gavin.
Everything's zen in your world?
Yeah.
I
I like Gavin. But again, it just fit the category for me. I really don't care that much. But Blake Shelton, come on, Gwen, come on. You could have done better than that.
Well, who knows, man? It's fucking Hollywood.
Yeah,
they probably were put together by their agents because they both have albums coming out
right,
this year.
Right.
You know?
I guess you spin enough chairs with somebody, eventually they start to look good.
Right. Next year, fucking Christina's going to be out and she's going to be in one of those fucking chairs or something.
Yeah, and she'll be banging Pharrell.
My biggest surprise of the 2015 actually isn't a positive surprise. I was surprised in a negative way, and that was that 9 Inch Nails was not put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
You were saying that,
which was very weird for me because like I do like 9 Inch Nails. I'm a big 9 Inch Nails fan. But even if I wasn't, I feel like that's one of the bands that needs to go in first ballot.
They will.
I know they'll eventually get in there.
Maybe there was a reason.
And also, let me also say this. I really don't give a fuck about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame either. Yeah. It's not like I have I'm passionate about either things, but it just seemed like a no-brainer to me that when I read the list of people that were gonna go, like that were nominated to go in, and they said 9 Inch Nails, I immediately was like, okay, well, 9 Inch Nails is definitely in, and now who else are they gonna pick? And then when they finally threw out who they were putting in, and 9 Inch Nails wasn't on there, it was a shock to me because. I mean, like them or not like them, they fucking invented basically a style of fucking music, have been around for 25 years, you know, have whatever. So
he does scores for movies,
yeah,
TV,
right, yeah. I mean, there's some pretty genius shit going on there.
Yeah.
So that's all. That was a surprise.
That is a surprise.
All right, and we're about to wrap up this list. Well, we have one more.
Oh, right. Our favorite awkward high five moment.
Yes.
Right?
This is the one that you wanted to add.
Right.
You forgot about it?
I think all listeners know what my moment was, being that I couldn't keep it together on the air.
Okay. Well, let's say our last one on our list for 2015 is our own personal awkward high five moment.
Yes.
Something that happened on this very podcast that you people have only been listening to for 2 months.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot to choose from.
Right.
Next year, we'll have a whole year's worth of material to choose from.
Yeah. So it made it real easy for me. You know, I couldn't keep it together on the air. I was crying. I couldn't stop laughing. It is Dev's newly acquired hate for Green Day when Billy Joe Armstrong does a Pete Town. I gotta say it just like it because that was the butter of it. The Pete Townsend windmill into a split as the pyrotechnics went off. Holy shit, that's the funniest damn thing I've ever thought in my brain. Pictured in my head after someone said in my life.
I don't hate Green Day.
No, I didn't mean hate. I meant, as, the, how many you-knows can I say now? Where you lost the full love for them, I guess.
Yeah, right. That was a point where I just realized either I'm too old for this or this has become too hokey for me and, and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, that's where they turn into a huge production.
My favorite awkward high five moment, and to anybody who listens to this podcast, it might be obvious as well, was you telling the story about when you fucked that doll.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because if you listen to that episode, what episode was that? There's a few ago.
Only like 4 ago, 4 or 5 ago.
If you listen to that episode, while you're telling that story, you will just hear me literally rolling on the ground, cackling in the background, because I couldn't hold it. That was the one. I laugh a lot at you at this, and there's a lot of times where I'm bending over and holding my stomach or pushing the microphone away so I don't laugh directly into it.
Yeah,
but that was the one time that I was uncontrollably laughing, that I couldn't collect my breath, I couldn't talk.
I know the feeling.
I kept trying to come back to say so. Yeah. So as far as that goes. But let me say, to wrap this all up, and thank you everybody for listening to our Awkward High Five 2015
year in review. Pew, pew. The acapella fireworks. Pew pew.
Let me just say that, like I started the show. This has been I can't. I still think I may even be kind of in shock of myself this year. Like everything's been so weird and up in the air, and the fact that I'm still even just breathing and surviving it is like,
I hear that.
I feel like maybe in like 5 years from now, I'm going to look back at this year and be like, holy shit, that was weird.
It was a defining year.
But I appreciate it in the way that I see how far I've come. And let me say to you, Richard, right now, that nothing is more important to anything that I set out this year than this, what we're doing right here in this room.
Me too.
It was
not only is it my favorite thing to do, and it's what I look forward to the most, but like I said in the past, it definitely helps me mentally and,
Yeah. So
my life goals, I guess.
Yeah. How it's after Christmas.
It is after Christmas. I mean, maybe I didn't exactly hit my milestone, but I am doing incredibly well.
Yeah, and I could vouch for that as somebody who sees you on at least a bi-weekly basis.
Yeah. And I even the last, handful of days I spent not in the best shape because I haven't been touching anything.
Right.
But
is that what it was?
Yeah. But I'd say, it's very few and far between, which is a good sign for me because normally I wouldn't even be able to do that. So It's happening, folks.
Good.
So 2016 will bring on a new RTG, a much clearer, more focused, and hopefully a much more entertaining for the AHI5 listeners.
Well, I think you're entertaining no matter what, but I do want you more focused and clean because that's the point of it. So yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's I came up with this idea. I was fucking. This is gonna sound corny as shit, but I was like lifting weights. You know what I mean? Like they say sometimes things just pop in your head when you're like
doing mundane activities.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I thought about it, and it just I've never had an idea in my life that seemed to work on so many levels. Like I had been going into the city almost like once or twice a week or even more than that, and doing stand-up comedy and enjoying the performance part of that, but kind of knowing that wasn't really the route that I wanted to take. Mm-hmm. And then also I was thinking about you sometimes because I was back in town and I knew you were around and I knew the situation you were in. And then I started thinking about, doing a podcast is something that I would love to do because I've always been a giant fan of talk radio and the format's great and everything like that. And then I started thinking, there's no way I couldn't do it without you because me and you gel so well after being friends for 30 years and all that stuff. And when I finally when the thought finally all came together, I was like, it was the clearest. If this was a movie, that would have been the light bulb going off, or the like that moment, And I've had very few of those in my life.
Yeah, I hear that.
So and then even after that, like I went and I asked you to meet me at a bar, and I met you at the bar. I didn't know what shape you were going to be in, and even after you agreed to do it, I still didn't know how it was going to work out. And all those things. And if you listen to the episodes as we progress and get better and we talk about those things, it's all evident,
Yeah.
But just as where we're at right now, closing out 2015 with this podcast, how much we've grown it in the short 2 months that it's been around, and how much I'm looking forward to the year 2016. It's something that I'm really proud of. Yeah. I'm glad that me and you have become friends again.
Yeah, it feels
that we're
good.
Working creatively with each other again, and so yeah.
That was the biggest void of my life.
Right. No, I get it. I was doing the same thing. I was writing songs, and like I said, I was doing the stand up. But a consistent creative output for me and you, I think, is something we need. And we're just gonna, for anybody listening at home that likes the Awkward Hi-Fi podcast, thank you for supporting us. 2016, we are hoping is going to be a big year for us.
Yeah, lots to come. Lots to come.
We're going to really work hard on getting guests and making it a bigger show, more production, more this and more that. So we're really looking forward to really breaking out and doing some fun stuff in 2016. So thank you to anybody who's listened to the Awkward Hi-Fi this year, who has told anybody about it, who has
left a
review, emailed us with feedback, came up to us at a bar and said that you liked all the things that have happened. They've just been very, very cool, and we really want to grow this community and make it a big thing with everybody and with us, and have a lot of fun doing it. So thank you so much for that. I wanted to say real quick before we wrap up for the year, I wanted to say thanks first to Dave, our friend Dave, who actually donated a new mixer to the Awkward Hi-Fi podcast, one that will allow us to have multiple guests with the levels being the way that they should be, because we didn't really have that going on in the last two guests that we had. So that is going to be a big thing going forward. So thank you, Dave, very much. And I also like to say thank you to Bob Ferry, my father, who
thank you, Bob.
We are sitting in his music studio right now, and that's where we've done a majority of the episodes out of.
This is where my comfort level is at its best.
Right, exactly. And he's been nice enough to allow us to use this when we needed to, and it's really helped to have this space. Again, going forward in 2016, the hope is that we have our own. We could go, figure out a space for where the Awkward High Five can exist.
That would be great.
Maybe even start doing some more shows. So it doesn't matter. There's so much stuff on the table for 2016, and we'll figure that out. But for the little makeshift thing that we needed for these final months of 2015,
we made it happen.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to him for letting us use it. It's really helped out a lot. And again, thank you for anybody at home that's listening to us.
2 days till Twilight Zone, baby.
Oh yeah, you're excited about that.
So
right?
excited.
Yeah, man. So we will leave you with one final "We Die Love" for,
for 1/5
2015, and
we'll see you next year.
Yeah, there won't be a show on Friday because that's New Year's, and hopefully we'll be somewhere high as cheese.
We will be high as cheese.
But we will see you on the first Tuesday of the New Year.
Happy New Year.
Every show, if I had one wish, I'd want to kiss you in your tight white dress. So many smoke-filled years have passed, wrapped in paper inside glass. My eyes were red when you were here, but now you're not and they're clear, my dear. Hey lover, where did you go? I'm not high and I'm not low. If I knew a breakup, man, I can't break you up and taste you again. With love, with breath, wanna smoke you up. Even though my chest hurts, smoke you up. Get more, pay less, wanna smoke you up. Inhale my best and I'm out of love. With love, with breath, wanna smoke you up. Even though my chest hurts, smoke you up. Get more, pay less, wanna smoke you up. Inhale my best and I'm out of love. Surrounded by seeds, I'm lost in the trees. My thirst and hunger seem to increase. The music we make.
Thanks for listening to the Awkward High Five podcast. For more episodes, visit awkwardhigh5.com.